the music. You will be inspired to think higher, realize your gift. Join the music and Michelle and Gina. Turn this up and through your speakers. It's the music of music.
And hello to you all. Yes, you are watching the Muses Behind the Music, and I am your host, Michelle Fallon. It is so good that you all are joining us. Before we even begin this awesome conversation with my HU friend, my sister in the arts industry, I want you to go on ahead and make sure that you share, you like, you subscribe to the Muses Behind the Music channels, both on YouTube and on Facebook, and just spread the love. Today, like I said, this sister is taking over the stage, and sometimes all times things are in God's timing, and we don't always understand God's timing, and sometimes it may feel long. But when doors begin to open, and the floodgates pour out, we got to walk inside of the blessing. And here, Roz White is doing exactly that. She is a vocalist, so if you've never heard her, shame on you, actress, and a teaching artist. And currently starring as Zelma Bullock in the Tina Turner musical. And it has been nominated for a Tony Award. I want to make sure when Roz comes on that it did not receive a Tony, because I want to make sure that I give the right props, but I know that it at least was nominated. If you are in the DMV area and you like the theater life, you have probably witnessed Roz on stage at Shakespeare Theater Company. She was Louise in Seven Guitars at the Arena Stage, Pearl Bailey in Pearl Bailey by Request at Metro Stage. I'm just naming a couple of things that's on this extensive bio. Roz was featured as the supporting vocalist with Yolanda Adams, the Grammy Award-winning project The Experience. And if y'all know gospel music, then you are acquainted with Yolanda Adams. She sung with Shantae Moore and Michael Jackson and Patty Austin. She looks just like Patti LaBelle. People used to say that to me, but no, when you see Roz, you see Patti LaBelle. And I know she's had an experience recently with Patty. And that, to me, like that's one of the people that I need to meet too. So I'm going to ask her about that. And she was also a featured vocalist on the R&B smash The Moon by independent soul star, another HU alum, Eric Roberson. Roz is a Washingtonian, right out of the DMV, graduated from Duke Ellington, where she went back as a faculty member to give back. She graduated from Howard University, where she went back as a faculty member to give back. It's all about mentoring and pouring into the youth. And I'm just excited that she's able to join us. So will you all please welcome my friend, my sister, HU alum, Roz White. Hey, sis.
What's going on?
It's so good to see you. It's so good to see you. Yeah, I thank you. I thank you for making some time, because as we can see, you are in your dressing room. You are on tour, the big Tina tour that is happening. Let's start there. Tell us about that. How did that break forth? That is just so awesome. And I know that they're going to do a nationwide tour.
Yes, this is the North American tour. 30 cities we are doing. And it will go beyond this as well. So I'm just trying to enjoy this right now and not get too ahead of myself. But it all started when I was doing Seven Guitars at Arena Stage.
Yeah.
Met a brilliant Black man by the name of Roderick Lawrence. He played our Floyd in Seven Guitars. He said to me one day, my agent's coming and I want you to meet them. Now, nobody in my life, and I have some amazingly talented friends, has ever offered me their agent. And so I met with Nancy Curtis from HCKR, and she immediately was like, I want to sign you. So I was like, this is crazy. I've been working without an agent for 30 years. What's happening? what was happening was the doors were opening, and all the hard work was beginning to pay off. And so I had a conversation with them via Zoom because we were still shut down, and
Mhm.
signed in December,
Wow.
and started getting auditions for everything you can think of, film, TV, everything, just doors opening. And then Tina came across the table. Well, Tina had come across my personal table because I have a relationship with the Telsey casting agency. I've done some shows that they've casted, and nothing happened. But when I got an agent, all of a sudden I was seen. And not only was I seen, but I got a call back, and then I got another call back. And finally, at my final call back, I walk out of the audition knowing that I have nailed it. And sitting in a chair is Ann Nesby. And I was like, oh, well, if she is sitting there, then there ain't no need in me to even try nothing. So I went on home and said, call me. But sure enough, they called me and offered me the role of Zelma Bullock. And I thought they were going to say understudy. I was kept waiting to hear like understudy or something like that. Nope, the role. And I was like, what? So let me just say, I've been following Tina, the Tina Turner musical, since its inception in London.
Mm.
That's how far I go back with it. 2014. I fancied myself a possible Tina. But
Mhm.
as on, I grew into Zelma. And so I didn't give up. I just shifted my focus.
Yeah.
And sure enough, it came true. I mean, it's amazing. Everybody from nobody ever writes letters to actors to say how great they did in an audition and how proud they should be of themselves. This has been a charmed experience, much like most of my career and life has been charmed. Just I feel just like just God is just boop on
Yeah.
my head, and through turmoil, which is why I'm so connected to Tina, because her life mirrors that. Her life, she was in the muck and she was in the mire for years and years, and finally, through her faith and through her strength, and just that relationship and the foundation that her grandmother placed in her for prayer and for seeking the ancestors' wisdom, she
Yes.
was become the icon that we know as Tina Turner. And to be able to play her mother, I say it all the time. It doesn't matter how rough or smooth the relationship is. That relationship between mother and child shapes your existence. And so I want people to understand where Zelma was coming from. And I
Mhm.
also want the truth. And sometimes she just didn't do the right thing. She did the best she could with what she knew, being in 30s in Nutbush, Tennessee, and wanting a better life. So let's
Right.
just think. So yeah, so that's how it came about. I'm here. We're in our seventh city in Philadelphia, which I'm loving Philadelphia, and I'm just enjoying every second of it, every second.
That is so
And
dope.
this is great. Talking to you.
Right. Ah, girl, listen, I'm excited for you and I'm really proud of you. I am certain that there have been moments that made you feel like, okay, I'm giving it up. I'm throwing in the towel. This is it for me. But the perseverance, the fortitude, the constant press, and kudos to the brother, Mr. Lawrence. We talked about this briefly the other day about people who are not afraid to give to other people because they're so secure in who they are and what they do, and then the blessings of what will happen on his side because he's just open to, come on baby, receive, you need to do this. I'm always a little edge though that sometimes it takes going through getting an agent. Like my talent ain't changed. It's been the same, but then people, we have this thing in society that it's like, you just get, I don't know, more notoriety, popularity to it, but the benefits of it are great. Would you suggest to people, you know, after 30 years of being in the industry and not doing that, to now feeling the benefits of having an agent, that this is the door you need to walk through?
Absolutely. I feel like I did very well on my own, despite um, prior to what has been happening in my career over the last, I want to say 25 years. I was on the track to Broadway. I was in the Broadway tour of Dreamgirls that was slated to head back to Broadway.
Mhm.
I was
Mhm.
20 years old, about to turn 28, very young, naive about how to sustain myself in the industry, and thought that all I had to do was just sing my head off and things would come. But then when I was suffering from some vocal trauma and was not able to perform up to par, I lost my job. And when I lost that job, it was devastating. And I thought that my career was over. I thought that I would have to do something else. Turns out all I needed was a lot of rest and to just restart. And so I went a different route. I did regional theater, and I did industrials, and I did whatever work would come to me, but I just maintained I would have quality work. I didn't care if it was going to be small professional theater or Lord A, or a production contract. Whatever I did, I wanted it to be quality work. And you don't do this for 30 some years and not get better at it. That's just stupid to me. So I learned from every experience. Yolanda Adams came into my life at a time when I was working at Temp downtown DC as a receptionist for a temp agency. I went in to get a temp work, and they hired me as their receptionist. They were like, "Oh, you're great." And I sat at my desk every day, and I listened to Donnie Simpson, and he played "Open My Heart" every day at 10 o'clock. And something is going to happen. I know it. Something is going to happen. I went to work. I dressed up. I was, presentable. And one day the phone rang, and it was Raymond Reeder. And he was like, Yolanda needs an alto, but you just had a baby. Think you can go? I said, hey, let me call my mama and see if she can, because I'm ready. And my coworkers, my bosses, they threw me a party. They loved, they knew these women still come and see me perform. One came to the National to see Tina. They've been in my life for years. So I feel like, yes, get an agent, or no, don't get an agent. Whatever works for you.
Yeah.
Just working. Just keep. For me, this was the time to have an agent. Those other years, maybe if I hadn't had an agent, I would have been frustrated because they would have been trying to pigeonhole me. So I had to work on Roz and get Roz to be the artist that I could love and respect, and and now was the time for me to work with a great agent. And so we are. So yeah, whatever works.
There's no limit to time. There are a couple things that you had said. One, whatever works for you, because I think oftentimes we have this tendency to define our movement by the way the world thinks that we should move, or how it says success is. Because I want to ask you, what does success look like to you? But I love also that you talked about quality work, because whatever your success looks like to you, I don't know if you thought that the last 25 years of your life, that was a success, you were living in success for yourself, or now as you are moving into this new area of your career, that now you're finally getting to the space of what you considered success. But no matter which way you go, the bottom line is, you said quality work in all of the processes. So what does success look like to you? And do you now see yourself as, I'm getting to that space of what success was to me, or I've always been there?
For me, success is never giving up. I always say I gave up giving up. I was a kid that grew up in Southeast Washington, D.C., and would have gone to Ballou had not Ellington been an option. And so once I got into the environment of people that were like me, artistic, creative, I just was on a mission to just always be surrounded by that. So for me, success is taking every day, one day at a time, to do something towards whatever your goal is. And my goal is to be a respected artist. That's happening. And I believe that that's always been a part of my life, even from a younger kid. I have one friend that we've been friends since we were 18 years old. And every time we talk, every single time, he says how much he respects me. And he's the acting coach to the stars. He coaches Taraji and Octavia, and but he's like, you're the one that kept working all the way through. You didn't stop, whether, like I said, it was small professional theater, regional theater, whatever it was, singing gigs, private gigs, I was going to continue to do the work, even if I had to have other jobs. One of my favorite actresses, she's underrated. She's passed on. Helen Martin. She played Wanda on Good Times, the one who always cried. She was like, you gotta work. And I don't understand these young people today that don't want to get a job because they waiting for their big break. You gotta still work. You gotta pay your bills. You got to, live. And I like to eat. And I love So I want to have some, and so, I mean, I'm so excited to be here with you, but I can't stop thinking about the lovely restaurant that I'm going to take myself to. You know,
Me too.
I believe in it. I believe in rewarding yourself. I believe in honoring the God space in you. There's a line in Tina where Phil Spector says to Tina, sing like you are singing to the God inside yourself. And I believe that you should do whatever you're doing, like you're doing it to the God inside yourself. So if
Oh,
you sweep that floor like God said, you know what I'm saying? And so I think that would be what I would consider success, knowing that you are giving your all to your goals. That's success, not money.
I'm not going to lose this quote ever. This thing just gave me goosebumps. Sing like you are singing to the God inside yourself. Oh my goodness. That thing is so powerful. I tell the young people all the time, as morbid as it seems, because I heard a long time ago a preacher talking about the fact that whatever it is that we do, you have to do it like it's your last moment to do it,
That's
because
correct.
we don't know when we're going to be called. But this thing is like the hitch onto that, like when you get on stage, you act like this is the last opportunity you got to live it out, so people see the God in you, so that you are experiencing God while you are doing it. That thing is powerful. I appreciate you mentioning that, really and truly. So Roz, when you were coming up, were you embraced into this arts culture? Was it, mom was down with it, or did you find some struggles? Did you know that you were going into it? Who sparked your interest in the music and the arts world?
It's interesting. So my grandmother had an amazing vinyl collection. And
Mm.
my mom was only 15 when she had me. So I spent a lot with my grandmother. And so I got into music by listening to those records. And Gladys Knight was a staple in the household. So I was always listening to Gladys Knight songs and sing along to Gladys Knight songs. And then my grandmother lived in a rural area of Virginia. Now it's all cityfied, Leesburg, but then gravel and hills. And so I would play out back and perform. I'm 4 or 5 performing. And when I would finish performing, I would run my foot across the gravel. Now, to me, that sounded like thunderous applause. So
Oh,
how big my imagination was at that.
yeah, I love it.
A kid asked me, now, what's your favorite part? I was like, the applause. What are you talking about? But I mean, and I know that's so vain, but I just love that there's something inside of me that can move another person to have gratitude or to have appreciation. I just think that's the human connection. So for me growing up, I knew from the time that I could talk that I wanted to be in front of people performing.
Yeah.
I had a neighbor that took me to church. That made me fall more in love with music. Once I said the sinner's prayer at 6 years old. A lot
Mm.
of people doubted, she ain't really saved. She's 6. What does she know? But I knew
Yeah.
that God needed me to get there with God before I would go through what I would go through at 7 and at 8 and at 9 and at 10, all the way up to age 16. Turmoil, stress, strife, abuse, all of it happened way before it should have. It should never happen. But
Yeah.
child to have to take on that. So coming up, the art saved my life. I had great mentors. Mike Malone was somebody that I followed around and begged him to put me in a show. Finally, he was like, "This kid, let me show." And he was like, "Oh, you're actually good." And I was like, "See?" So I worked with
Right.
Mike all through high school and college. He's the reason, aside from my diva sister Nicole, who's demanded that I go to Howard. He's the reason that I was there as a musical theater major. So yeah, coming up, I knew my mother. I lived with my mom for a brief time between the age of 7 and 11. And
Mm.
9 years old, I was singing along to a record in my room, and she knocked on the door and said, "Was that you?" And I'm like, "Yeah, ain't nobody else in here but me and the records." And she eased the door back closed and went and sat down on the phone with my grandmother. Was like, "This child can sing." And from that point on, anything I wanted to do involving the arts, any choir I wanted to be in, we did Peace Child. I sang I was with the DC Youth Ensemble
Yeah.
from age 12. So I always just went after it. It just called to me.
Yeah.
It
Yeah. the stage, the world is your stage, the stage is your world. And seeking after that. So did you and mom grow closer later on, 15 years old, and you're still a kid? Did you have more of that, mom daughter eventually, or it was like, this is my girl?
Eventually, I think what happened was I was on tour and
Mhm.
and I called home and mom said, I got a surprise for you. And I said, what? And she was like, I'm pregnant. And I was like, what? You were done. I'm 20. I'm grown. I'm out. And my sister was born in 1990. And so that brought us closer together for sure. And then I became pregnant with my first child at 29 and was like, I need my mama.
Yeah.
I need my mama. I'm gonna go home. And so I went to my mom and I stayed with my mom, and she ended up, taking care of my oldest son and then both of my sons while I was on the road. And then when I got married, and we were just, yeah, we just came back together. There
Yeah.
was still downs. My mother unfortunately suffered from bipolar disorder. It was called manic depressive back then, and she refused to treat it. And so we had great days. So, and then, the last 7 years of my mom's life were beautiful for us. She would come to my apartment. I would cook for her. I would go to her apartment. She would cook for me. We would go out on dates together. She went to the Helen Hayes Awards with me when I hosted one year. I just wanted to just treat her like the queen that I saw in her.
Yeah.
It had such a rough life, and she had so many bad relationships, and just, and
Hmm.
the last 7 years she was married to a wonderful man, and unfortunately he passed away about a year before her, and I think it just broke her heart. She got sick after that and it just went downhill, and I was like heartbroken that after all of, but then I had to look back and say, God, I thank you for those 7 years,
Yeah.
because it's wonderful. I wish she could be sitting right here over my shoulder. We about to go to dinner together, but she's free of that pain.
Yeah.
And yeah, I never cried so much in my life when she was in pain. Once she passed away, I was like, thank you, God, for setting my mama free.
Yeah.
But that pain was nothing. I mean, it was horrible to go through that. So, yeah, so me and my mom did have our time to become, and she's the one right before I made the decision, like, you know what, we're gonna give this everything. And I never didn't give my all, but I know in my heart somewhere, um, I was not doing everything that I could to
Hmm.
level. And
Hmm.
I was in a bad relationship. And she said, hey, listen, you're going to have to get up out of that. You're going to have to fight for what is yours.
Yeah.
And I picked myself up, went, got up, did all the things that I needed to do, and doors just started opening. And
Yeah.
telling me because she wasn't going to be here, I thought that was just mom kicking my butt, So, yeah, me and mom,
Yeah. It's
right?
an amazing thing that when we start shedding ourselves of the toxicity, and I'm speaking out loud to myself right now too, that the creator is like, I've been holding this for so long for you, but because you were in that space, you weren't going to be able to receive it well, right? You know the story about how people talk about when you go to heaven and God is walking around with you, and you open up the door and you're like, oh my gosh, all of this, and it's got my name. These are all the stuff that you could have had. Well, I'm trying to experience those things right now, ridding self of toxicity so we can get to that space with the creator. Do you summon mom? Do you believe like the presence of the spirit of mom is still here when you hit the stage? Like mom speaking to you. She's here.
She speaks everywhere. My mom was a visual artist. And so now when I'm in these different cities, I see the most beautiful murals. And she was like not a staunch, but she was definitely Catholic. And so I see these beautiful churches and steeples and statues and just things that would have caught her eye. Now,
Mhm.
when she passed, I got these mementos for myself, my sister, and my kid. Have a little bit of her ashes in them just to keep her close. She was really hovering last night. So I'm pretty sure there's something huge that's about to happen, because
All right.
she was just hovering. And I was like, Mom, what is it? And so, she talks to me all the time. I can't look in the mirror without seeing her. And so, it's, she's there. Yes, absolutely. My first bow in Tina. So the curtain call is a show within itself. But my
Yes.
curtain call music is special. And I have a whole change in the music. And I did a little dance and they were like, keep that. So now I get to talk to mom during that point. You know, it's like she found a way in even into that. You know, God is amazing. That
Yeah.
and just, you know, kind to us.
Yeah.
Kind. And you know, so through even through the pain and knowing that she's not physically here, I still have her everywhere I go. So yeah, she's here.
That's beautiful. Girl, I got goosebumps with you just saying that. I really did. That's beautiful. Do your sons realize who you are? I mean, my sons, you know, my sons will do stuff like this with me. Oh, you just a teacher.
Oh,
You just, you know what? I'm just like, do you know how hard I am working? Do you know? Yes. Do they know who you are?
you know what's so interesting? And I'm so glad that you said that. I divorced when my sons were 5 and 7.
Mm-hmm.
And my ex-husband made the decision to take them. And after much fighting, I said, you know what? Go ahead.
Yeah.
That's what you do. That's it. Caused a lot of pain for me. People were always, well, how could you just leave your kids? And why do you not da 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 da? How can you just, you know, would you say that to a pilot? Would you say that to a surgeon, you know, that has a demand? My sons are so proud of me. I mean,
Yeah.
son Anthony, he's a jewel. He's taking care of the apartment while I'm gone. Little does he know, but he's going to see this, is that it's preparing him to take care of his own place. You know what I mean? And it's teaching, showing me that he's ready so that when I do that, there will be no question about it.
Mm-hmm.
Wonderful and loving father of my 2 beautiful grandsons. Young father. My mother was a young mother. So I guess it runs in the family that way. But he's such a great dad. You know, when I see him with his children, and he came to see Tina, and he just beamed his face. Just, I mean, they're so proud of me. They know they performed as kids, but they've chosen different paths in life, and that's okay too. But yeah, they definitely know. And I think that the trade-off was I didn't get some of that time with them between the ages of 7 and 18. And, you know, my older son came back to live with me at 18. King tried, my younger son. It didn't work out. He wanted to be back where he was with his dad. And I was like, that's your choice. Know that I love you. I'm always here for you.
Yeah.
I just try to love them as openly and as honestly and let them see the real me and not try to be, I'm your mother, so what I say goes and do as I say and not as I do. None of that works.
No,
it
doesn't.
Be real with your kids. So they love, they are proud. I mean, Anthony told me the other day, he was like, you're doing your thing, Mom. And I was like,
love it. I love it. Yeah, that's dope right there. You know, my sons have thought that, you know, they're my father. They, you know, they take on that role, and I try to help remind them. My father is over in Jersey. You stay your place. You know, that's the only time that I tell them, keep your place and do real fine. What makes you stand apart, Roz? Like, there's just a bunch of actresses out here. You know, I think about the relationship that you and Taraji have.
Yeah.
You know, Chad, and just all these different people that, you know, what puts you apart that lets you know that this is my niche? I'm the baddest one in here.
You know, I'm discovering it. It used to be my memory and to get lines really quickly and retain and know everybody else's blocking and lines as well. It's a skill set that really will keep you working and keep people calling you back.
Well, I want to be an actress then, because my memory sucks.
Sometimes you got a teleprompter, you know, but for stage, you got to keep them lines. And that's the question I get asked all the time. How do you remember those? I'm like, well, there's a check with my name on it every week. That means that I got to do the job.
That's the inspiration.
That's inspiration. I get paid to do that. But it's, no, I mean, I feel like what sets me apart is my heart. Because there's a lot of people that are not happy in this profession. And I just don't think that makes any sense at all. There's so many other things that you could be unhappy doing. Why be unhappy doing this kind of job? It's already objective enough. We're already put through the ringer for our looks and for our age and for our this and that. Things that we really can't do a whole lot about unless you want to cut up your face. You know what I mean? Kind of thing. I mean, because people do, you know what I mean?
Sure.
I'm of the old school actors that allow themselves, okay, say for instance, and she's not an African American woman, but she honorary, Miss Betty Davis. She allowed herself to age. My friend Timothy will love that I'm saying this. She allowed herself to age, and so that she could continue to work through her aging, as opposed to being stuck trying to look young. And now you can work because your face is kind of jacked up, or not embracing the age, and then so you run away and hide when those older roles come. I proudly state my age. I know I look 52, but I am, and I'm loving it, because a lot of people didn't make it to this age.
Amen.
And why I'm proud of it, because I know that I could have been gone as well, had it not been for the grace of God. So yeah, what makes me stand out, I think, is my heart. And what I bring to each character that I play. I try to find some of myself in each of my characters, and not judge them or myself, and tell the story.
Oh, not judging self. Is that not the hardest thing? So what can you share, especially for young people? Because I love, that you have a heart for young people. You have this mentoring program. You worked back at your alma mater of Duke, and currently at Howard. And social media, I believe, is jacking up the mindsets of these young people, and they just need to have some real positive reinforcements, reminders, and a lot of times just the planting of the seed inside of them to let them recognize and remember about greatness. And so what are you sharing with the young people today that helps them in that same pocket you just mentioned?
I have to go back to being real with the young people. I had, like I said, great mentors. Mike Malone, Linda Gravatt, who is an amazing actress, television, film, was my teacher at Ellington. And so I got to see working artists that were teaching. And that changed my life. I became a teacher at 15 years old. Dr. Gladys Bray, God rest her soul, was a community activist, and she was my science teacher at Ellington. She was my biology teacher. She had a program called East of the River Arts Program in Southeast at Ann Beers Elementary School. I went in there at 15 years old, teaching young kids about acting and music. And one of those kids was graduating from Bennett College while I was on tour as Miss Collegiate African American. And she came to me, she was like, I remember you. You helped me. And I was like, you graduated from college. This is great. And so I never forgot the connection. I never forgot what it did for me to have Mike Malone and Linda Gravatt take me to Mr. Henry's on Columbia Road to hear Julia Nixon, underage. They called my mom and said, we taking her in a place where they serve alcohol. We just want you to know.
Mr. Henry's is a spot.
Right. And so I heard Julia Nixon for the first time, and Tony Booker. He was like, you need to hear somebody that will bring out what I'm trying to bring out of you. And so once I learned that you can do that with a young person just by taking them under your wing and showing them they can blossom, it's the most rewarding thing in my life. I just recently got my master's in curriculum and instruction from North Central University, and my thesis was those who can teach. And teach is an acronym for but I'll
go ahead, share it.
Okay, so it's train, enlighten, affirm, cultivate, and heal.
I love that.
Yeah, that's what a teacher does. And so we grew up with the slogan, those who can do, those who can't teach. That is false. That is not fair. I would never want to learn from somebody that doesn't know how to do what they're teaching me. That doesn't make sense. So, but there are some teachers who don't practice, but they still have a wealth of knowledge to offer. And teachers are not second class. They are not just anything. I rail against that. Teachers are life shapers. They are they're guides. My teachers, my acting teacher, it still comes to see me perform. I had three of my oldest acting and music teachers come to see Tina when we were in DC in their 70s and 80s. These women got dressed up and came out, and they were so proud to see their student, doing the thing. So
Yes.
teaching is a thing for me. Like I've now learned that I'm happier when I'm not in the classroom. Um, I'm happier teaching through my work and through things like this and workshops and master classes and things like that. But the day-to-day classroom, it was kind of crushing my spirit just because kids are different these days. And it's harder to work because you used to be able to work with the parent to help
Yeah.
the kids. Now you have to kind of work against and sometimes instead of the parents, and that can be hard. So
Listen, don't feel bad about not being in the classroom. Okay, 29 years I gave to the classroom. It was not my intention, but got pregnant, got married, needed to have insurance, you need to, do some things that are adulting, and then you become comfortable and complacent, and the excuses come in. But when I left teaching at the end of last year, the relief and the release that I feel of not dealing with this generation of bureaucracy and students, and especially coming out of COVID. God bless every teacher who is still pushing with strength and creativity in the classroom today, because it's a very different thing. And I'm just not cut for that. That's just not it. It's a real, I can do my art now, what I really have been called to do, and focus in on that. So good for you. You're still inspiring young people at Howard. I'll tell you this, let me be real, because I love my alma mater, and I know you do too.
yes.
When I decided to go to Howard, it was because of all the great legacies that I heard about: Jesse Norman and Donnie Hathaway and Roberta Flack. And I mean, we just had some dynamic teachers there that too: Hortense Kerr and Regina McConnell and Raymond, like just phenomenal educators as well. And then for the music department, I feel like something happened, a shift took place, and I think that the drama where you came out of just kept growing and growing. All right, y'all who are from Howard listening in, don't judge me. This is just my truth of how I feel. Okay, y'all handle it though. Do you feel like Howard is still a place? And I know this might be an interesting way to that you'd have to answer, but do you feel that it's still a place where you can encourage young people to go? That you all are offering to them the best of the best on the best levels, competitive, that they can walk out of college and be a success with what's being offered in the program?
Yeah, I believe that we are experiencing what you spoke of as well as a dip in that. And I'm on a mission to get it back to where I know it can be.
Mhm.
It's a big face and it has great representation, myself included, from people that are out here doing it. However, it's now beginning, especially in the Department of Theater Arts, to re-emerge the way
Yes.
that. But there was a dip, and I unfortunately it's surrounded by money because
Mhm.
some of those students that are able to pay tuition may not be the most talented,
Yeah.
but and so they're there, but they're not getting what they need because they don't have the skill set. You got to come in with already. I believe that there should be more feeder schools, arts schools that feed into Howard, and it shouldn't just be a kind of free for all. I feel like there should be schools that kind of steer you towards Howard.
I like
For
that.
which is going through its own changes. This is a symptom of, I believe, the world right now are experiencing some dips in integrity, in you know what I mean?
How you put that, a dip in integrity. We've been going through that for a long time in this nation. My God.
To come on up out of it. It's like, come on. So those of us who understand what integrity is and what true artistry is, and that it does not happen overnight, but it
Yes.
does. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Work for 20 years and then overnight you get a gig. So it's those things we have to just keep doing the work. That's what I believe. And yes, I will encourage young people to go to Howard, but I want to only encourage young people who have the skill set to excel in this field to go into that field. Like, you have to tell kids the truth. If they don't have the skill set, you got to, Mike Malone would say, perhaps you should consider stage management. And some of the best stage managers I know in my life were told that when they, were thinking about doing something else, like dancing or singing. And he was like, yeah, let's get you on this path.
We're missing some raw educators that we experienced when we were at Howard. And I mean, I used to have teachers who would kick me out their studio, and they were telling me the truth, because I know I would come up there and try to fake it all the way through. And they were like, you're not going to waste my time. Bye. So and I'm paying my money, but they were real about it. I think people are so afraid these days to share with people. I don't want to hurt their feelings, but I want you to know this is a very competitive field that you're trying to branch into, and there's a realness to it. You got to come with, people like to say there's potential there. Yes, but there has to be a little bit more. To me, there has to be just a step above the potential, the drive.
Yes.
That's what's going to take you, and the potential that's out there. And we're missing that with today's generation. And I'm just glad that you're in this space where you're helping to cultivate that here and here, so that when they step out on stage, they're living through it. I think there's a laziness that is happening, and I'm not sure if it's because this generation is entitled to so much. I don't know what it is, but I too am trying to reach them in where'd you go? She went away. Oh, we lost Roz for a second. Let's see if we can get her back in. She might have lost connection. Oh, we were right in the midst of having a good conversation in there. Good people. I tell you, this is not a technical thing, unless it just happened technically on her side that we had missed out. But just in case we don't get Roz to come back in, these things happen all the time. It is the way it is. I do want to just say that I appreciate you all being able to be present with us here. Here we are. Technical girl.
The devil.
Hey, it is what it is. It's a technical glitch. Last week, I don't even know what was going on my side of the world. I can't even begin to tell you. It was so in and out. And, Theodore Thorpe, bless his heart, he was patient, and so was everybody else when they were watching. I was just telling everybody, y'all, we having a good time. Y'all just be patient. Roz will be back in. Roz will be back in. Okay. Tell me, what are you struggling with the most as an educator?
Oh, wow. For me, I just believe that it's the opportunity and the funding that, because what my mission is to do is now to create a credential for the teaching artist, so that we have something between the bachelor's and the master's, because it took me 30 years to get
right.
It's hard, but we just need something that will give us the credential, so that when we go into these institutions, they can't lowball us anymore, and we can do the quality work that we do without feeling like we're doing it for nothing and hardship. So I need funding. Hey.
She's speaking right. Yeah.
That's real. That's really the thing, because I'm always in a position, like I feel, to learn and to teach. Right now, the woman who does our wigs, Sheena Barfield, she's amazing. She was like, you need to open your school. And I was like, no, because you have a skill set, like this should be a collaborative thing. I think what is missing, what I struggle with, is the lack of collaboration with everybody wants to be a superstar on their own, and nobody wants to collaborate anymore. I found that I was blessed to have Mike Malone, Linda Gravatt, Tony Booker, Raymond Reeder, Richard Smallwood, Wesley Boyd, all working on the same project together. And we sounded like a professional theater company. We went to Lincoln Center every year with Street Theater. That kind of happened under one person. It takes collaboration.
Yep.
Not mention William Hubbard and his
oh man, yeah.
years. I've him. So I got spoiled. I would literally take him to New York with me and have him play for auditions. And like, where's your sheet music? I don't need no sheet music. This is William Hubbard, and he's gonna play and get the gig, you know. And so, and he would get the gig. So
Right.
it's like, you know, that collaboration, I miss it. I miss it, especially in education. At Ellington, it's an issue as well. And so what I started was the 10-minute musical. So I had my students perform a musical in 10 minutes about a historic figure or about a literary figure or about a scientist. I was collaborating with the academics so that the academic teachers didn't feel like kids were more interested in their art than in their academics. And so let's work together. So I did a tiny desk, one of my classes, that was their idea.
So cute.
As their 10-minute musical. And it was Pythagoras and his band, The Theorem. And it was so great. It was like, you know, we're learning math and we're singing. And those were some of the best times when I was able to collaborate. And the science teacher came to the show at the Hippodrome in Baltimore. She had made me this beautiful custom bag. And, you know, those relationships don't go away. When you learn how to work together for the benefit of others, that doesn't go away. And so I think we need to get back to that. That's what I'm.
Things that keep the kids, the young people engaged. They keep adults engaged too, you know, and that's so important. I guarantee that if you were to poll those students who came out of your class against just some others, because they were learning, they learned, you know, they didn't regurgitate the stuff. They walked away with knowledge because they were able to transfer it into things that were natural to them. They were engaging, they were, you know, creative. That was great, because one of the questions I was going to ask you was, how do you keep it up with these young people, but finding different ways to get them to learn, to relate, and to understand. It's so very important. You're getting ready to do a concert in New York while you're doing Tina. Then you're about to do concert, girl. How is that all working? How did that all happen? And where is this concert going to be?
We're going to be in New York City for Christmas. This is a dream of a lifetime for me. I always wanted to do Christmas in New York, and I'm going to get to do it kind of big and great. When I was in New York over the summer rehearsing for Tina, I did of all things, a Madonna tribute.
Oh, stop.
Look at this beautiful room called Pangea in the East Village. My friend Kobe, who is a fellow graduate of Ellington, he's a house music superstar, does Pangea a lot, this room. And he was like, come sing this Madonna tribute. I was like, okay, fine. Did it. And sure enough, the people said, we want her to do her own show.
Oh.
And I was like, well, Christmas. Okay, let's do Christmas. And so I've got Nigel Robinson, who did Amen Corner with me at the Shakespeare Theater. And Kobe's going to sing a duet with me. But I'm going to sing some soulful Christmas songs. I got a single, Merry Christmas Baby, that I put out during the shutdown. So I'm just, you know, just welcome in the beautiful, you know, spirit of holiday and celebrate, you know, Christmas. And
this is going to be at that Pangea.
Pangea is in the East Village. There is a whole ticket link, and I should know better this stuff.
Listen, you got too much going on, girl. You know.
When we finish, I'll put it in the comments so that people can do it.
Absolutely.
You go to any of my social media, and I'm advertising now because we're about, 25 days out.
Yeah, no, advertise. Tell us it's on December 23rd.
December 23rd, that's a Friday at 9:30 p.m. at Pangea, which I believe is on East 29th Street, but I'm going to get the right address. But it is in the East Village in New York. And it is, it's a 70-minute Christmas cabaret with some good bluesy, soulful Christmas singing, and a great piano man. Nigel is incredible. And we're just going to have fun and bring in the holiday season.
If people need to reach you talked about social media. How can they get a hold of you?
You can get a hold of me at my email, rozwhitesings@gmail.com. And you can also see me on Instagram. That's Roz White Sings. On Facebook, see Roz White. And I have a website now. Yes. And it's bit.ly/Roz White. I'll put all that in the comments as well.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so everything is, popping off right now. Kira DaCosta, thank you for the website. She is a Broadway diva herself and has started this business of helping other artists to up their profile by creating these beautiful custom websites. She did mine for me, and it's beautiful. Everybody was like, "This is great," and so I want to make sure that
Another collaborator. And I think that's the key. Again, another collaborator. And the key above all to me are people who are just so secure in who they are and what they're doing, that there's no fear of being able to connect with others and to share a part of them and to put other people out onto platforms and feel comfortable about doing it, knowing that, what's for you is you. What's
that's,
for me is me. Can't take from you because I didn't give it to you in the first place.
that's right.
10 years from now, what
Mm.
are your thoughts? I mean, it's like no one, we talked about one time, like living in the moment. We want to live in the moment. But, are you still setting these goals for what's to come or where you would like to see yourself 10 years from now?
Absolutely. I just spoke with a lovely couple that live in Thailand now, and I was like, "This is goals for me. I want to live in a
Mm,
I want to live in another country. I want to experience a different culture. I want to create arts awareness in another culture and country." And so that's definitely my 10-year goal, is to be living maybe in Jamaica or France or somewhere where I can create my own arts culture, and still teaching, still helping young people. But definitely, yeah, I have my eyes set on other lands, other shores.
yeah, yeah. No, that's good and necessary too. Go ye into all the world, preach the gospel of, God in the arts, God in the teaching.
We live in the world. We don't just live in our little town, in our little, we live in the world, and we should be able to have access to that so that God can see um, God's self recreated in us. We were at our most like God when we were being creative, because in the beginning, God created. So I'm very simple, that when we're doing that, whether it's through medicine or whether it's through science or whether it's through the actual performing arts, when we're creating, we are our most like God.
When you perform, what is it that you want people to walk away with after they've experienced you?
I want them to walk away with knowing that the person that they just saw put their everything into it and was here to spread a message of love,
Hmm.
of love,
Yeah.
of love, whether it's the love that we discover through sometimes pain and heartache, but the end result is love, because that's really all that we actually have.
Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. Roz, I love you, sis.
Love
I'm
you.
so proud of you. I really am. I'm so proud of you. You are representing Howard University. You are representing God. You are representing your family, and doing it with such grace and beauty and love. And that's why people like Eric, our mutual friend, he just loves him some Roz. Yes, he does. He loves him some Roz. And I understand why. Thank you so much for being a part of this show, for giving of yourself and your time. And I am sending you with all of the love and the light as you continue on this path. I know some greater things are ahead. It's not stopping here. Thanks to collaborator, what's his name? Roderick Lawrence.
See the film Silent Partner. He's brilliant. He's got another film coming out soon. Just follow him, Roderick Lawrence. He's a brilliant, amazing talent. My cast of Tina, brilliant, amazing talent. Both of our team, Zern and Naomi, fire. And even our understudy, Paris, is fire.
Yeah.
So just spread the love, support live theater, support live music, support live entertainment,
Yeah.
because we got to bring joy and light to the world.
We do. We do. There's so many other great things that I wanted to share. That means that I'm going to have to hold them. So we do a part two.
I love it.
Absolutely, to this. And thank you all for those of you who joined us to watching this. Make sure that you go and you share and you like and you subscribe and you do all those wonderful things, because this is a show that you don't want young people to miss out on, or those people who are mature. And here's the thing that I love so much, Roz. I love the fact that you are unashamed of your age. You, after how many years, went back and got your master's because you prove that there is no time limit to this thing, right? I think we just get so bogged down by, you got to have a baby by the time you're this age, get married by the time you're this age, your career is this age. Everybody's on these timeline things. But the creator's timing, a day is like a thousand years to the creator.
So true.
Years is a day. So, we just got to walk in alignment with that. So thank you so much for living it and showing it and being it. All right. To all my muses out there, I thank you so very much for joining us. And I look forward to seeing you all very soon. Until the next time. Peace and blessings.